I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and this is video 2, and I don't know how much I got on the other one, really. I'm just really putting this up, and it's not in order or anything, really, but I'm doing my best. This was sent to me in '84 after I'd been in a campaign to replace Larry McDonald, and I was out at Mr. Flynt's twice, October of '83. Larry McDonald, congressman, doctor, was supposed to have gone in the ocean and died with all those 290 plus, I believe it was, people that went down and drowned from Aurora. No, not Aurora. From, oh God, Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea, August 31st of '83. So I'm flown out there. Mr. Flynt had been shot by a program shooter in Lawrenceville, Georgia, March of '78, and I'm doing a book on mind control, the Tesla files that were stolen, how you can cure an illness or create it. But there's a lot more to the files that were stolen that I don't know what was in them. But anyway, it was reported, and I have this down here I put up, that President Trump's uncle, John George Trump, MIT grad, had stolen the files. The Illuminati stole them. Then the FBI got them. And I hope there is a portion or party in the FBI who are the good guys, because the Illuminati control everything now through when they took my father down, Edward VIII, with the lies. And anyway, Mr. Flynt, see if I can get back to where I was. He was, I do know this, so he's endorsing me, and I'm supposed to be a Democrat running. Well, they didn't really cover me. I sent pictures. They didn't cover me. And I don't think they covered Mr. Flynt that much. Well, according to what I'm seeing now, Mr. Flynt was in prison. They put him in prison here, and you can Google it the way I did. February the 1st of '84. He was in federal prison, Butner, North Carolina. And get this, one of the big serial killers that got me, that was programmed, was put in Butner at the same time Mr. Flynt's out there, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And then he's in federal prison, Butner. Well, first of all, I believe he's up there for put in prison for 50 by Judge the Commonwealth Attorney, U.S. Attorney Manuel Real. He was put in prison, sentenced for contempt. Contempt of court. Oh, God, if you ever lay this out and all of it's true, contempt of court. Oh, my God, he should have got a medal. He really should have. Give him a medal. Don't put him in prison for telling the truth. So now then, he was put another 9 months for what? For something else. Okay. Bear with me. Well, I said bear with me. July the 14th of '83, Los Angeles said he agreed to pay, I think it was Stein, Larry Flynt, for the Bloomingdale tapes. I'm jumping to this, so if you care to keep up with me, you can, or it is real important. And you can piece it together without me, I guess, someone could. But Mr. Flynt did have the tapes. I saw the video because it was where I was with him, not at the time, but right after then. And then he gets put in prison. How about that? According to this article, February of '84, just before this came out, the Hustler magazine endorsing me for the president. He's supposed to be running. Mr. Flynt is. He's been shot by a program shooter. Okay. Oh, me. Well, wait a minute. Let's see. July of '83, Los Angeles said he agreed to Steinberg, I believe is who it is. They were trying to get the tapes, Bloomingdale tapes. One man was killed, and he was thrown in the Hollywood Hills somewhere up there. Now then, this Steinman or something, this involves This article, by the way, Associated Press, was written by Scott Rexard, Rexard. Okay, let me see if I can even go here and find it. Well, that's not it. So I guess I'll lose a bunch of it here. Okay, Steinberg was an attorney. I think he helped bury Vicky or Victoria. What's her name now? Don't let me lose that. She was the girl. Okay, Miss Morgan, Vicky Morgan, was supposed to be Bloomingdale's mistress for years. Now, Bloomingdale was, well, of the Bloomingdale, you know, he was the heir. Okay, he and his wife Betsy were close friends of the Reagans. She even lived in the White House. He died of something, but before I was ever out at Flynt's, I was trying to write stuff before he was shot, and I knew it was done in patterns and flown out there later. I was into some of the stuff going on. I didn't know why. There were some things that happened on Delk Road where I ended up living later doing the book. And it was a girl that worked for one of the magazines, either Hustler or Playboy. Something happened there in that Holiday Inn on the end of Delk Road there. Anyway, let me just get back to this. Okay, this was supposed to be Bloomingdale's mistress. And there were tapes that were filmed, and I think it was by the guy that was put in prison. I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to try to read it. I don't have it out. The guy that lived with her, she had met, what was his name? I can't find it here. He was put in prison. He died in prison. So there's question of how he died if you get into all this, really. To shut him up, I think he had the videos. Okay, somehow Mr. Flynt, according to this, was supposed to have contacted Stein, the attorney who helped pay for Vicky's death. She was beaten to death with a bat. And I think she was suing Bloomingdale. Well, they weren't going to have this told. My God. And there's more to this. This is what I meant to go back to then. There was something back then, before I ever heard of, except the magazine, the girl was, something happened there on Delk Road. And, I shouldn't try putting this up without, it's just going to seem disoriented and everything on here. There's something about they were into, oh God, the Bloomingdale were part of this. I don't know if this was the Bohemian Club. You didn't hear about the Bohemian Club until I started telling about it way back then. If you did, it was very scarce. Okay, now then, they would hire groups where the men would like to be whipped and wore diapers, really weird stuff. And I can't remember who that was. I'm not going to say she was involved in this, but it involved the Bloomingdales. But here, Ronald Reagan and Miss Morgan, Bloomingdale mistress, a congressman and 2 ambassador-level officials, and 2 businessmen were in the videos. And there was a lot of others in the videos. Okay, and now then he's supposed to, Larry Flynt, who's been shot by a program shooter, he's supposed to be buying the tapes from Steinberg. Now it says here that Steinberg, so they got to him, suddenly said he didn't have the tapes, and Mr. Flynt had offered him, we're going to pay him way up there in the millions for the tapes. Well, suddenly he doesn't have them, he said, but I saw later where he did have, or at least they went in to Flynt's home and tried to make him give the tapes to him. Somebody did with a gun. So I know I'm not doing a good job of this, but anyway, let me see if I can go back. Anyway, this Vicky Morgan was murdered with a bat beaten. I guess somebody out here doesn't like to hear me. Nobody likes to hear the truth here. They want to go on with their eyes closed, and to hell with me. Okay, July the 14th, 83, Los Angeles, said he agreed, this is in 83, that he agreed about the tapes, okay, to buy them, and then suddenly he didn't have them, but then Flynt was supposed to have them, or the lawyer was supposed to not have them, put a sign on the door he wasn't speaking to anybody. Okay. I don't. Well, it says here that Larry Flynt was printing some of the truth when none of the other media would. Well, I've told you why they didn't. They're controlled by the Illuminati, your global government that helped kidnap me and do all this to my dad and all this. Vicki Morgan, less than 24 hours after Vicki laid to rest, in a hurried arrangement, service paid by mystery benefactor, but Robert Steinberg, L.A. lawyer. Well, now he's the one I was just talking about. They had the tapes, going to sell them to Flynt, and then suddenly he didn't. And suddenly I think Flynt had them. But Marvin Pancoast claims to be in possession of the videotapes that were dangerous to the White House, Nancy, and Ronald Reagan. Now then, Pancoast was gay, supposedly killer of Vicki. He died of cardiopulmonary arrest with wasting syndrome. Well, think of what I've told you, and you can put it together. How did they really die? How convenient. Larry Flynt has been released from federal prison in Butner. I don't know when. I just told you how much time for me. Where the serial killer, there was one serial killer that was really in all this that was put in Butner, and he was there at the same time. I can't find his name now, though. Well, I guess nobody's going to watch this one. That was about Vicki. Well, anyway, I'm doing the best I can. I guess the best ain't doing it. I can't get it up here. I'm trying. Okay, Steinberg, ambassadors and senates, and somewhere it's got to get back to where I was. American activists supporting. Okay, that's not it. Well, I guess I haven't done that much this morning. Vicki Morgan, less than 24 hours after Vicki laid to rest in hurried arrangements by mysterious benefactor. Okay, let me go this way. Vicki Morgan tape showed prominent officials July the 12th, 83. Some of them are house aides. Well, it shows what I said. U.S. Age, New York Times, 7/12/83. Nancy Reagan, one of the Betsy Bloomingdale's best friends, house recorded on videotapes. Lawyer Marvin Pancoast. I'm going to quit because I can't read what I put up here. You can look at that and look it up if you care to. It's there. You've got the name and the Bloomingdale tapes. Also, while okay. Oh, I want to tell this, though. This is where some things happened. They were done, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, Edwin Meese. He was very important in the Reagan, and he was from California, and he was State Department, I believe. What was his official thing? Anyway, I was up there on this date. I looked it up, and now I don't... May the 13th, 84? No. That was the sex tapes. 13th, 84 prosecution argued before the grand... I may have to delete this. It's not making sense because I written never existed. Said that never existed, the tapes. They're going to cover that up. Vicki Morgan's sex tapes showed prominent officials being whipped, etc. Okay, now then, talked about that. I don't see where I was going, so I may not. Larry Flynt had been sentenced to 15 months in prison. Okay. Poff. Desert Sun, July 14th, Los Angeles City, argued the tapes, but the lawyer who claimed to have them, Steinman, decided he didn't have them. He was scared to death. Okay, I'm going the wrong way here. Anyway, Scott Meese's son was, I've got it down here. You can get that. Google it. But he was killed while I was on a bus going to D.C. with no money. What was I going to do? I was going to turn all this stuff over to the media. I didn't know what I know now. I will say this, that the Reagans were so involved. They spent nights in Buckingham Palace, just like your President Obama did, he and his wife. Only it was in Windsor Castle. Everybody can live in Windsor Castle but me, the one that's supposed to, and my children. Now then, where was I going with that? I don't know. There's some more. I didn't get it all down, so I've got that. I'm sure there was some more. But anyway, the Scott Meese was killed in an auto, and I had it written down here. Outside McLean, Virginia, he went off the road and highway there and hit a tree and died. And they took him to Fairfax, Virginia, and he was dead on arrival. But Edwin Meese was so involved in all this, and as far as I can tell, I'm going to tell you something. The only person that seemed decent was Ron Ziegler. Rest of them are a bunch of, all the presidents have been Illuminati. You want to call them Freemason, whatever you want to. It's your global government that's in power. And recently, the lady from South Carolina resigned as U.S. representative to the United Nations. And now then, President Trump has appointed, hopefully they'll confirm her, Heather, and I've forgotten her last name. The only thing I'm going to say here, because I have enough people mad at me and want me dead. I don't know if you call me living or not, But yesterday at the same time, and I don't want to cause any problems, so I guess I shouldn't put it up. But when I came to live here over a year ago was when the shootings at Charlottesville. There's a lot about Charlottesville and the University of Virginia that has not been told. Anyway, there was this riot that you've all seen that was televised where in Charlottesville they were trying to tear down Robert E. Lee's statue, where I don't agree that they should have been able to touch it. Leave it alone. Anyway, there's a lot to that was not told. The media's a bunch of rats. There's no other word for it. Oh, please don't let me get put off YouTube for saying that. Anyway, this young man was found guilty yesterday of killing Heather Heyer with his car. It's kind of odd because it coincided with something else that day in time. And then they found him guilty yesterday, and he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. So I hope the right lady has been appointed to the United Nations. And God help me if I've caused problems here. I hope not, because